there's more of me to come, isn't there? I've been, you know, from an amateur.
I say if I lost, I get and
I retired.
I retired. Yeah, I say, hey, it's not good.
You have to keep boxing.
Yeah, you young. You can training.
Well, this is my chance to, you know, write my name in stone. This is legacy building fights. This is history.
Daniel Dubois has officially shut down all the retirement talk. That's right, the heavyweight contender isn't going anywhere. After weeks of rumors and online speculation, Dubois came out with a clear and powerful message. He's still here, still chasing greatness, and nowhere near finished. For now, the doubters have been silenced, and Dubois is back in the hunt.
Hunger and desire and, you know, just, you know, as you're a fighter, you want to become the best. So that and the team I have around me, my dad, and that circle, inner circle, kept me strong.
Things took a turn when Eddie Hearn entered the conversation with a calm but firm message. Cutting through all the online speculation, Hearn made it crystal clear. Daniel Dubois isn't retiring, and he doesn't need to explain anything just yet. He just fought, Hearn said, adding that this is simply part of the journey. No panic, just steady confidence that Dubois will return. And when he does, he'll be ready.
Like, he doesn't have to retire. He doesn't have to give him a decision when his next fight is just yet. He's just boxed. So everything is done properly. But of course, we all know he's not retiring.
Johnny Nelson didn't hold back. And what he said echoed exactly what many fans have been thinking. According to him, the talk from Dubois about still being in the mix feels like nothing more than smoke and mirrors. When a respected voice like Johnny says he's not convinced, it hits different. He pointed to Dubois' performance under pressure, suggesting that after folding on the biggest stage, trying to talk his way back in isn't enough. And it's not just online trolls saying it anymore. The criticism is now coming from inside the fight world. Even former pros are speaking up. The longer this goes on, the more Dubois' credibility seems to be slipping.
I don't believe it. If I want to say, I don't believe it. I just don't. I think once
Even Alexander Usyk, the man who handed Daniel Dubois one of the toughest defeats of his career, is now speaking more like a mentor than a rival. But let's be real, it doesn't come off as genuine support. It feels more like sympathy disguised as advice. Usyk saw firsthand how Dubois mentally broke down in that fight, and now he's tossing out lines like, "You're still young, don't give up." Coming from a guy who dismantled him in the ring, it sounds less like praise and more like a quiet reminder that Dubois wasn't ready for that level. This isn't motivation, it's a subtle jab. Because when the man who beat you starts sounding like your life coach, it's a clear sign that your image in the sport has shifted. While Dubois tries to keep his composure, much of the boxing world isn't buying it. They're watching, they're commenting, and many are questioning if he still has that fire.
Not that. They boxing. It's not Valent. It's not Dante. Daniel. Julian. You can. You can dream. Man, relax, man.
Frank Warren might be speaking with kindness, but the message behind his words paints a tougher picture. Even Dubois' own promoter sounds uncertain about his comeback. Phrases like, "I hope he can bounce back," don't spark confidence. They signal concern. At just 27 years old, this should be the prime of his career, not a point where his mental resilience is being questioned after a rough night in the ring. When Warren starts hinting at possible health issues, it's clear the damage wasn't just physical. This wasn't some back-and-forth battle. It was a calculated breakdown, and Usyk pulled the strings from start to finish. Dubois didn't just lose that fight, he was exposed. The image of a fearless heavyweight cracked under pressure. Now, as the division marches forward, Dubois is left picking up the pieces. Meanwhile, Usyk's legend only grows stronger, especially as fans scramble to explain Dubois' performance. And just when you think things couldn't get more real, Derek Chisora steps in, raw, unfiltered, and brutally honest, calling it exactly how he sees it.
Britain, he won't come again, but it's up to him. You know, it was a tough night for him, a tough night. Is he okay, like, health-wise? He's obviously very, very disappointed. But in terms of, that was brutal, that knockout, Frank. Is he okay? No, he got up, he got up at 10. He wasn't brutal,
Derek Chisora holds nothing back. He speaks in unfiltered, no-nonsense terms and puts Dubois on full blast. In Chizora's eyes, Dubois wasn't just underprepared, he was mentally elsewhere, caught up in distractions instead of ready for war. All the noise about low blows and illegal shots? Chizora brushes it off as nonsense. "Stop lying," he says bluntly, making one thing clear. If Dubois wants to stand among the true beasts of the heavyweight world, he has to live that life, eat, sleep, and bleed for it. But that's where the real issue lies. Dubois seems to crave the glory without earning the grit. He's been built up, protected, and promoted like a superstar. But when the moment came, he crumbled. And for fighters like Chizora, that's unforgivable. Losing to someone as elite as Usyk isn't shameful. But ducking accountability and spinning excuses after folding under pressure, is that AS for Usyk? He didn't need to say much. He exposed Dubois, moved on, and never looked back. But the darkest moment comes when Chizora reveals what Dubois' own corner had to say post-fight. And it paints a troubling picture that's hard to ignore.
The scale of body show, you're a liar and all this for no reason. And what happened now?
This clip pushes the situation from disappointing to downright embarrassing. Chizora doesn't hold back. He calls it what it is. Dubois didn't get worn down. He gave up. And instead of facing the music, his team reportedly lashed out with hostility that reeked of fear and denial. When your own corner starts attacking respected names instead of answering valid criticism, it reveals the disarray happening behind the scenes. Chizora's anger isn't for show. It's frustration from someone who knows what it takes to survive at the top. Dubois had the strategy in front of him and still came up short. Mentally, he wasn't ready. And when the pressure hit, there wasn't even a proper fight back. The white flag went up before the canvas did. This wasn't just a loss to a better fighter. It was a psychological collapse at the worst possible moment. Usyk didn't just beat Dubois. He peeled back every layer and exposed the fragility underneath. And that kind of mental defeat doesn't get fixed with a few good weeks in the gym. Up next, Eddie Hearn steps back into the picture. But even his attempt at encouragement carries a subtle tone of farewell, like he's already writing the final chapter.
Man, they quit. I don't understand. You know, they were supposed to train him different. They did not. I mean, like, it's big time. It was set for him to win it. You know, it was set for him to win it. You know, when I went to graduate to say how you feel, you know, Don Charles goes to me, "Oh, go suck your best friend's dick." I'm like, okay.
Eddie Hearn's comments sound less like encouragement and more like a quiet farewell. His tone doesn't scream optimism. It whispers closure. When he says if that's the last we see of him, it doesn't feel like he's backing a comeback. It feels like he's gently closing the book on Dubois' relevance in the sport. Sure, Hearn frames it with respect, but let's be honest, that's what promoters say when the crowd has already turned the page. This was supposed to be Britain's next big heavyweight. Now, people talk about Dubois like he's a memory, not a contender. This isn't just retirement talk. This is a slow fade into the background. Meanwhile, Alexander Usyk keeps climbing. No excuses, no sympathy tours, just consistent domination. That's the real gap between legends and lost potential. And just when you think a breakdown is over, Hearn delivers the final blow, walking through how Usyk picked Dubois apart, round after round, methodically dismantling everything the hype once promised.
Fans, because we've got a chance to make the biggest fight in boxing, but you know, if that is the last we see of him, he's had a great career. I doubt it. But, you know, it's always best to come into retirement to make sure someone pays you to come out of retirement. But if that's his lot, much respect to him.
Eddie Hearn has finally laid it out plainly. After the opening round, Usyk completely took over. This wasn't tactical chess. It was a one-sided dismantling. Dubois started aggressive, sure, but that wasn't a strategy. It was panic in motion. Once Usyk planted his feet and decided to stop backing up, the entire dynamic shifted. And Dubois? He didn't adjust. He froze under the pressure. That freeze says everything about the levels between a seasoned champion and someone not yet built for that stage. Hearn's analysis, though measured, hits hard. What he saw is what everyone else did. Dubois showed a spark early on, then unraveled mentally as Usyk turned up the heat. It was never truly competitive. Usyk didn't need fancy tactics or help from the judges. He just walked Dubois down mentally and physically. It was precise, it was dominant, and Hearn knows it. That's why he's not campaigning for a rematch or revenge arc. Because truthfully, there's nothing left to settle.
Usyk was under pressure in the first round because Dubois comes out fast like he did against AJ, and if he catches you, you're in trouble. And I think just after that, he just decided basically, I'm not going to go on the back foot anymore. I'm going to take the fight to Dubois. And he just kind of beat him up and obviously stopped him. I mean, he's beaten AJ twice, Fury twice, Dubois twice. Unbelievable.
Joseph Parker didn't sugarcoat a thing. He laid the facts bare. Usyk didn't stop Dubois with a lucky shot or due to some freak injury. No, this was a calculated round-by-round breakdown. A masterclass in controlled domination. Parker made it clear Usyk used skill, discipline, and ring IQ to dismantle Dubois. No chaos, no drama, just world-class footwork and calm execution. That's what separates true champions from the rest. While some fans clung to controversies and cried foul about low blows, Parker saw through the noise. This wasn't a questionable stoppage. It was a slow-motion collapse. A clinical finish, not a fluke. And as for all those retirement whispers, Parker didn't see a fighter reconsidering his future. He saw someone looking for an exit, not a comeback. The talk of walking away wasn't surprising. It was a shield. A way to deflect the criticism storm coming from every direction in the boxing world. The truth? No one was fooled. Dubois wasn't broken by injury. He was broken by pressure. And Parker just echoed what many already believed. When the heat was on, Dubois folded. But it only gets more brutal from here. Because when Tony Bellew adds his voice, what follows is nothing short of a character takedown in plain sight.
I'm not stunned, I know that. He broke him down, right? He broke him down, he was patient. Then in Dubois, for me, looked better. Like landed some good shots in the beginning, it was going back and forth. Then he got Usyk's attention, but he was patient. Feints, movement, footwork.
Tony Bellew didn't just criticize Daniel Dubois. He dismantled him. Not just in the ring, but as a competitor. While some fans cling to that one body shot as a turning point, Bellew wasn't buying it. He laughed it off, saying Usyk barely flinched. That wasn't power. That was desperation. And the sting of Bellew's words? It's because they hit where it hurts. He didn't call out Dubois for lacking talent. He called him out for lacking heart. When the pressure rises, Bellew believes Dubois fades, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually too. That's not just defeat. That's exposure. Those whispers of retirement? According to Bellew, they weren't just rumors. They were the obvious conclusion after what the world witnessed. A fighter who didn't want to keep going when things got tough to Bellew's line cuts deep. The real Daniel doesn't want to fight. And that might follow Dubois every step he takes toward a comeback. Because this wasn't just a loss, it was a breakdown. He didn't just lose a belt or a bout. He lost the belief of the boxing world. The mask of hype is off. Now he's seen as unpredictable, not dangerous, but unstable. And just when you think Bellew's finished, he flips the script and praises Usyk for how a true champion responds under fire. That's where the contrast hits hardest.
One decent body shot the whole fight to which Usyk tapped his belly and just said, "What was that?" And then there was zero else coming back. And that's, in my opinion, that's the attitude and that's the mentality of a guy that when the going gets tough, he doesn't want to fight. And you can never change that.
Tony Bellew wastes no time shifting the spotlight back where it belongs, on Usyk, the chess master of heavyweight boxing. He doesn't just compliment Usyk's skills. He highlights the genius behind them. According to Bellew, Usyk didn't just show up to fight. He showed up with a custom-made plan to completely shut Dubois down. From adjusting his weight to changing his rhythm, Usyk did everything with precision. That's the mark of a real champion. Someone who solves problems, not someone who makes excuses. While Dubois supporters were busy blaming fouls and fueling retirement rumors, Usyk was quietly breaking his opponent apart. Move by move, that Bellew's message is clear. This version of Usyk isn't just hard to beat. He's untouchable. It's not just about strength or speed. It's his ring IQ that sets him apart. He saw Dubois' slow footwork and used it against him with almost surgical calculation. The real difference between them? It's not just talent, it's hunger. Usyk is chasing greatness. Dubois looked like he just wanted a way out. One came to dominate. The other came hoping to survive. All the noise, the excuses, the internet drama, the blame game. It means nothing when you're in the ring with someone operating on another level. Bellew reminded the world, Usyk doesn't fall for distractions. He breaks fighters mentally before the final bell. And if that wasn't enough to silence the excuses, Joe Gallagher steps in next with a tactical breakdown that leaves zero doubt about what really happened in that ring.
Beat him. I just think technically, physically now, he's at the weight and he's adapted and he's adjusted. I mean, he's even adjusted and adapted his weight for this fight individually. I mean, he put on how much weight and slowed the actual feet down because Daniel Dubois.
Joe Gallagher breaks it all down like a forensic expert reconstructing a downfall. Every jab, every round, every mental lapse. He doesn't hold back. Dubois wasn't the victim of a surprise punch. He walked straight into a well-set trap. That's not misfortune. That's flawed fundamentals. The Gallagher's delivery might sound calm, even slightly sympathetic, but underneath it's a full-blown exposure. Dubois didn't see it coming, not because it was hidden, but because he wasn't ready. His team failed to anticipate it, and mentally, Dubois lacked the reset button that separates contenders from champions. What Gallagher makes undeniably clear is this. Usyk's performance wasn't just sharp. It was calculated perfection. That check hook? It didn't just land physically. It hit Dubois where it hurt most, in the mind. From that moment, he froze. Then the spiral began. This wasn't a technical knockout. It was a mental collapse. And that's not something you fix with a few weeks in the gym. The talk of retirement wasn't just media noise. It was Dubois' own way of retreating from the storm of criticism. A quick exit to avoid long-term accountability. Gallagher may have phrased it diplomatically, but the core message was ruthless. Dubois was out of his depth from the opening bell.
Okay, so I think Daniel forced him into the ropes and he just walked onto a check hook high up on the head, and then obviously in the two phases of attack, Usyk did in them with the left hook around the side of the right hand, and he executed it.
The spotlight's back on, and no amount of cryptic posts, radio silence, or media spin can shield Daniel Dubois from reality anymore. Those retirement talks? They weren't just rumors. They were the natural response to a fighter who mentally bowed out in front of millions. This wasn't about a punch to the body. This was about a man whose spirit got snatched by a colder, smarter, and far more ruthless operator, Alexander Usyk. Usyk didn't just adjust. He transformed mid-fight. He held his ground, flipped the momentum, and dismantled Dubois piece by piece. And the moment it shifted, Dubois didn't fight back. He looked like he wanted to disappear. Now, the legends are circling like sharks. No one's defending him. Frank Warren sounds hesitant. Johnny Nelson openly doubts him. Bellew straight up ridicules him. Even Chizora's patience has run dry. Dubois is floating in a sea of justifications while Usyk's name is getting carved deeper into the history books. With every highlight, every analysis, every brutal truth spoken on camera. But if this is the Dubois we're left with, then maybe walking away is a mercy call, not a punishment. But if he plans a return, he better show up ready for war. Because in this division, there are no handouts, only predators. And right now, Usyk isn't just the champ. He's the hunter at the top of the food chain that here's the question. Are you riding with a machine that is Alexander Usyk? Or do you believe Daniel Dubois has the fire to rewrite his story? Sound off in the comments. This isn't over. This is just the beginning. War is on the horizon.